Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Texas Longhouse Mead. I'm Carlos. This week I'm going to show you guys, for the beginners, how to make a basic traditional mead, which is where I think every new mead maker should begin. So basically what we have here going on right now, I got the bucket back here with hot water and some star sand in. Basically all you do is fill it up with hot water, take the cap off just a little bit, squeeze it, you fill it up to however much water you got. On here it says about 5 gallons, about ½ ounce. So fill it up to ½ ounce, pour it in there, and then you just let it sit for a little bit, at least a minute, so that way everything can get sanitized. Nothing's sterilized, it just gets sanitized to kind of kill off a lot of the bacteria. And then right here I got some not quite boiling water. Right now the water's getting up to about 110 degrees. And then we'll add in our Go Firm, which is just basically like a yeast starter type thing. This is from Brewcraft. It was $5 or $4.50. Anyways, you get the water up to 110 degrees, and then you put in your Go Firm. But the amount of Go Firm you need is depending on how big batch size you're making. I have a whole spreadsheet that I can put in the description for you guys if you want. Basically, I put in how many gallons I'm gonna make. So in here I got 1 gallon, and so I need 1.875 ounces or grams of Go Firm. So I measured it out. I'm actually making 2 batches, so I got a little bit extra in here, but in here I got 4 ounces, and then I got a cup of water in here that's getting up to 110 degrees. Once that gets up to 110 degrees, we'll put in our Go Firm, mix it up, let it dissolve in, and then we have to let it cool to 104 degrees. And then we can put in our yeast to basically wake up our yeast, get them activated, get them going and whatnot. So check our temperature real quick. And we are at about 115 degrees, which is fine. So basically I'm gonna just take this in, pour that in there like that, and then get this all sanitized a little bit. Sorry, it's my son trying to make his debut in YouTube. Sanitize a little bit, just dunked it in our star sand water over here. Just mix it up real good. All right, that should do. Just kill the heat off and just let it sit so that way it cools to about 104 degrees. This next part, we'll go back into our mead making room and put everything together. All right, I'll let this cool down to 104 degrees, and once it gets down to 104 degrees, I'll put in my yeast. All right, so we're back in my mead making room. Right now I got everything drying off over here back here. I got my honey, which is still in the hot water. It's basically warming up a little bit so that way it's easier to work with. Sanitize our hands as we're gonna be having to mix all our stuff up and whatnot. So our Go Firm mixture is cooled down to about 100. It's around 100 degrees, so it's less than 104, which is fine. Anything over 104, you actually start to kill off some of the yeast and whatnot. So today we're gonna be using Lalvin D47. Like I said, we're making 2 batches. I'm gonna be making a traditional mead. Like I said, every beginner mead maker should know how to make a good traditional, because that's basically what all of your meads are gonna be based off of, is a very good traditional. And then I'm also gonna be making a sizer, which is just a apple juice mead type. But we'll get into that. So again, take our D47. So I got 2 measuring cups here that have been sanitized. Basically, since we're making 2 batches, this is good for up to, they say it's about 1 gram per gallon. I like to add just a little bit extra. You can always add extra to start with, which is better, because if you add too little, then the yeast is going to take time to build up its colony and it's going to take longer, and you'll start wondering what's going on. So it's always better to add more than to have less. So we're going to take about half this packet. This is a 5 gram packet. Take about half of it. That's about half there. Probably not. So So we'll add a little bit more, a little bit more. All right. And we'll just shake this on up real good. Not shake, but stir it up. All right, do that one. Got this one. So now we'll let these two sit off to the side, let the yeast start waking up, start getting acclimated to basically get ready to go to work. All right, just stick these two off to the side. All right, then we're gonna take our two carboy, well, we'll start with one. I'll do the traditional one first. Take our water. Fill it up about a quarter of the way, all right? And this is what you're gonna use to mix up your honey, all right? Remember, for a good traditional, which is gonna be about, this one will be about 13, 14. It's gonna take about 3 pounds of honey, which is we got here. This is Cali's local Texas honey. You got to make sure it's raw and unfiltered. All right, there we go. All right, I'll grab my phone real quick. Get that in. Again, this is our Star Sand water back here. Actually, we don't need that. We will need it here in a little bit once we add in our yeast and gopher mixture. If you didn't warm this up, you'd be sitting here all day waiting for it to try to get in there. So it's a good idea to warm your meat up. Don't boil it, don't put it in a microwave, stuff like that, because that'll actually ruin some of the honey, the texture, or not the texture, but the flavorings and stuff like that. Fill this, not fill it up, but put some water in here so we can shake it up. You want to try to get as much honey as you can. You spent the money for it. And what this has also helped doing is aerating the honey that's in here to start the rest of it going. All right, a little bit more than I wanted, but it's fine. All right, now we got our bung here that has no hole in it. So that way you don't have to put your thumb over it or whatnot. You can control it a lot easier. Put it in there. And just shake. What this is doing is getting all the air in there. Getting you all the micro air bubbles, O2 in there for your yeast to start basically converting that, or not converting, but it will help the yeast build up to convert the honey. All right, check the bottom every once in a while, see if there's any honey down there, because if there's honey down there, then you're not getting all of your honey to be able to dissolve into the water, which is what the yeast will actually ferment, where if the honey is sitting at the bottom, it'll take a very, very long time for it to convert that honey into your mead. All right, that's doing pretty good there. All right, so what we're gonna do now, fill this up some more. You want to make sure you leave enough room. Granted, this is only half a cup, but you want to leave room for your Go Firm yeast mixture, so that way you're not sitting all the way up the top. Normally, you pass the bottle shoulder here, you go about halfway. That'll be about the furthest you want to go, which is usually about the point of where this little bottle ring is here. So add a little bit more. That's good. Take our stopper again. All right. Getting there. All right. Looks pretty good to me. All right. Got it all going. This is our Go Firm and yeast mixture. Pour it in. Get a splash of water in here. Try to get as much of it as you can. There we go. All right, stick that back in here for our next one. We can sanitize that one. That way you're not mixing. Granted, essentially it's gonna be the same. You just don't want to mix ingredients and stuff like that if you don't have to. So this, you'll just want to rock it nice and slow. If you shake it, you can. Just be careful, because once the yeast gets in there, it'll foam up real bad. So just rock it back and forth, let the yeast mix into the rest of the mixture. Should be good enough. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our gravity reading. All right. You want your starting gravity to figure out where your potential alcohol is gonna be. Now, some people will fill their graduated cylinder up first and stick this in. I prefer to stick it in because as you're filling it up, the bubbles and stuff like that will try to attach to the hydrometer here, and that will actually throw your reading off. So you fill it up with it in there. Once it's in, you just spin it, try to get as much bubbles off of it, then you get your reading off of that. Now, since this is a brand new batch, what I'll normally do, especially when I'm pulling samples, is with the turkey baster, just stick it in and just let it oxygenate that way. You just gotta be careful, because if you put too much air into it, it'll shoot out the top. First couple days is when you wanna add oxygen into it to make sure you get a good colony growth of your yeast. And then after that, you don't want to add any more oxygen, because then you can actually sour your mead. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good one here. Stick that back over here. All right, we can spin that off a little bit. Let's see what we're at. We are at 1.116. All right. Write that down. 1.116. Now, since all this has been sanitized, and like I said, you're wanting to oxygenate your mead, pour this back in. Let it splash around, that's fine. There you go. All right, once you get that, we'll put this back over here to clean that off. You get your stopper and your airlock. Fill it up, put the cap on. Press it in and set it off to the side, and that's it. That's all you need. You let it sit off to the side, and then almost forgot about this. I was telling you guys in my last video, I use Mead. This is also by Brewcraft. They on the little spreadsheet I was telling you guys about earlier, I have a whole system set up on there to where I can just put in 3 numbers. It'll give me everything I need. How much gopher I need, how much water I need to hydrate the gopher in, and then also how much Mead I'm gonna need for the tailored organic nutrient addition, something like that. I forgot what it's called right now. But yeah, it's TOSNA. But I use Mead for that. It'll tell you, all right, for this batch, you need 12 grams total. Well, you need to take that 12 grams total and divide it out over 4. So you're gonna add it at the 24-hour period, the 48, the 72, and the 1/3 sugar break. Again, I'll show you here in the hydrometer how you guys get all that. All right. So we got our hydrometer here. I'll show you where we were at. So we're up 1.106 for our original gravity. And then, so for a 1/3 sugar break, like I said, I'll put this little spreadsheet that I have down into the description here so you guys can use it. For our 1/3 sugar break, basically, you know, we'll keep checking our gravity reading for the first week, and then again once it's fully finished. But for the first week, it's really important, so that way you know when you get to that 1/3 sugar break. It's usually not going to happen within the first 72 hours because you're adding your nutrients the first 72 hours. So you're again 24, 48, and 72. After 72 is when you definitely want to check for your 1/3 sugar break. And for this one, our 1/3 sugar breaks can be at 1.071. So once it gets to 1.07, that's when we'll add our 4th and final nutrient into the batch. So again, you'll just keep checking your gravity reading. You'll read it, and once it gets to 1.07, then you add your 4th one. Other than that, you just set off to the side. Again, the first week, 24 hours, you put your nutrients in. Be careful because it can cause a little volcano if you're too aggressive with it. So what I normally do is I'll take a degassing wand. I'll put the nutrients into the carboy and then stir it up slowly so that way it doesn't create a volcano. Because if you get too aggressive with it, you'll learn and you'll only do it once, and it's funny to everybody else. But you'll sit there and shake it up. Next, you know, the stopper is gonna pop out and you got mead spraying everywhere. So what I do is I pour the nutrients in, take this, just stir it around slowly so that way you're not getting too crazy with it. Once it's mixed in, then you can get a little aggressive with it because you want to get the oxygen back in there. So again, that's just your basic mead. Like I said, every beginner should know how to make a good traditional mead because that's what the rest of your mead recipe is going to be based off of. So again, hit the subscription, come over to the Facebook group, hit the like for updates, or come over to the Facebook group for updates on the other things that we got going on and updates with the meads that we're making. Till then, thanks.